We will now take questions, and the questioning will be directed by Delaney Kempner.
Hold on. Please say your name and your outlet.
Marcia Kramer from CBS. I wondered if you could tell me if the governor will be facing any, I know this is a civil investigation, but were you making any referrals to prosecutors so that he could face either state or federal charges?
Our work is concluded, and the document is now public. And the matter is civil in nature and is not, does not have any criminal consequences. It is my understanding.
I will state that it's our understanding that for the young woman whose breast was groped, that the Albany Police Department already has a report about that. As for anything else, as the Attorney General stated, all the information is fully documented in the report, and any prosecutors or police departments can look at the evidence and determine if they want to take further action.
Josefa?
Hi, Josefa Velasquez, the city. Now that this report is concluded, will your office be sharing it with the Assembly's committee that is investigating whether or not these are impeachable offenses, and if so, what's the coordination between the office and the Assembly?
There is no coordination between the Office of Attorney General and the Assembly. The document is now public and will be distributed to members of the Assembly as well as the leadership.
Ms. James, can the governor...
Can you introduce yourself?
Oh, Bernadette Hogan from the New York Post. Can the governor be sued in any way? Is there a statute of limitations, or are there any penalties specifically tied to this report? I know Ms. Clark can.
Sure. There's no penalty specifically tied to this report. The women can decide, some of the women can decide themselves if they want to bring a civil action. The statute of limitations is generally 3 years under one federal statute in the state law and a little bit shorter under another federal statute, although for hostile work environments, as long as one act occurs within the statute of limitations, one can go back to cover the entire hostile work environment.
And in regards to the violation against the executive chamber's own policy, what kind of violations could be?
I can't think of a specific law that would violate, but that certainly is taken into account in determining liability for sexual harassment.
Dave Owens from Channel 7. Ms. James, can I ask you, do you think the governor, given the devastating nature of this report, and I get what you're saying about it's up to local prosecutors if they want to move forward on this, but do you think that this would all be wrapped up well if you would resign, leave?
That decision ultimately is up to the governor of the state of New York. The report speaks for itself. And right now I think we should all be focused on the courageous and bravery of the women who came forward. And all of us should be focused on keeping women safe, believing women, and allowing women to speak their truth. And that's exactly what this document does.
Andrew Seth from WNBC. You mentioned in your opening remarks today defending the credentials of your investigators today. Were you personally bothered by the governor's own remarks in the past week or so that you could just Google their backgrounds and draw your own conclusion that this is a politically motivated investigation?
There were attempts to undermine and to politicize this investigation. And there were attacks on me as well as members of the team, which I find offensive. And our focus, again, should be on the bravery and the courage of these 11 women and of the others who came forward. These allegations were substantiated. They were corroborated. And the team before you, Ms. Clark and Mr. Kim, are professionals who are widely respected, not only in New York, but all across this nation. And I support their work, will defend their work, and I believe these women.
Zach?
Zach came from New York One. You mentioned that it corroborated a lot of what the witness testimony was who you spoke with during the investigation. When you interviewed Governor Cuomo, did he admit to or deny the majority of what was said here?
There was a combination. There are some incidents that he admitted to but had a different interpretation of, and there were other things that he denied or said he didn't recall.
Speak a little bit more about that. Gwen, WNYC, can you speak a little bit more about what that conversation, that 11-hour conversation was like the other week?
I can't recount all 11 hours of it. As I said, there were certain things, like he admitted that he asked Miss Bennett whether she had been involved with older men. He denied touching the state trooper, although he said he might have kissed her at an event. And there were certain things that he turned around and said that, for example, the executive assistant number 1, that he did hug her repeatedly, but claimed she was the one who initiated the hugs. So it was a mixture of admitting to certain things, but putting a different spin on them and denying others.
It's all outlined in the report.
Shimon Prokopez from CNN. So what are the next steps here? You have this report, obviously a lot of devastating information in it. A lot of people are going to ask, okay, so what happens next? And you're not referring it for criminal charges. What are the next steps that you would like to see, perhaps maybe the assembly take or someone else take to have some other kind of punishment or something else here? Because right now it just seems like you have this report and it's out there, and what would be the next steps?
We were tasked with the responsibility of engaging in an investigation, and we have concluded our investigation, and our work is done. And so as it relates to next steps, that's entirely up to the governor and or the assembly and the general public. But the work of the Office of the Attorney General and these special deputies has concluded.
Do you think the governor should run for re-election?
That's a political question. The work of the Office of the Attorney General is done.
Okay, we're going to take 2 more questions in here, and then we're going to go virtual.
Hi, Dana Rubenstein from the New York Times. This is a little bit of a hypothetical, but if an individual with a history of running a workplace like this were running for governor, would you consider that person fit to serve as the leader of New York State?
I don't engage in speculation, Dana. The report speaks for itself. They substantiated and corroborated the allegations and have issued findings that, in fact, the governor violated state and federal laws.
Okay, this is the last one here, and then we're going to go virtual. Adam.
Adam Reese, NBC News. As a prosecutor and as an attorney general, are you frustrated that you can't move criminally on these charges, numerous charges that you and the investigators have said are both that violate state and federal law?
It's not an issue of being frustrated. The issue, we were tasked with the responsibility by the governor of the state of New York to issue a report, and we have issued this report. And all throughout the process, we put our heads down, we've done our work, and at this point, we're going to allow the chips to fall where they may.
Okay, we're going to go virtual now. Fabian.
Thank you, everybody. If you have a question, please click the raise hand button. If you have a question, please click the raise hand button. First, we're going to hear from John Campbell from Gannett. John, your mic is open.
Hi, Attorney General. A couple questions, and I apologize. It's tough to hear some of the questions, so that some of these might be repeats here. But the investigation into the governor's book deal, as well as the staff resources that were used on that, does that remain ongoing? That's separate from this. Is it still ongoing? And also, can you make some sort of formal referral to prosecutors' offices based on this report today, or is that something that they would have to pick up the ball on their own?
The investigation with respect to the book and whether or not public resources were utilized is ongoing, and it's separate and apart from this investigation. And with regards to criminal jurisdiction usually is conveyed upon the Office of Attorney General. Usually we get a request under the executive law. And at this point in time, our work is concluded, and we will not be engaging in any criminal investigation with respect to the conduct of the governor of the state of New York.
Our second question is from Josh Dothy from Washington Post. Josh, your line is open. Josh, you have to unmute your line.
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you, Josh.
I said, hi, Attorney General.
Hi, Josh.
There appear to be about 11 allegations here, 11 different victims. Did you find all 11 of the victims who came forward to be credible, and were you able to find contemporaneous notes or proof about all 11 of the victims?
We found all 11 women to be credible. There was corroboration to varying degrees, probably at the end of being most corroborated. Charlotte Bennett talked to people and texted people contemporaneously. Some of her texts were practically in real time regarding conversations with the governor. As well, the reports that she made to the chief of staff and the special counsel, their contemporaneous notes are quite consistent with what she has said to the press and what she told us. The state trooper, the touching incidents, the one where he touched her stomach was witnessed by another state trooper who confirmed it to us. The kiss, the governor kissed her once, that was confirmed to us by another state trooper. And there were other incidents where she told people at the time. Other people that we spoke to did tell people at the time, and we confirmed with the people they spoke with, or had written documentation, either text messages or emails, in which they recounted things contemporaneously. So things when you see the report, everything is documented. Things were very well corroborated.
Our next question is from Emma Kinnery from Bloomberg News. Emma, your line is open.
Hello, thank you. I was wondering, you said that your work is done, but there's still a criminal matter in place. What will happen from there?
So I cannot speculate as to what will happen from external agencies and or external legislative bodies. That is entirely up to them. But as far as the Office of Attorney General is concerned, our office and our investigation has concluded. We will be issuing this report along with evidence to the general public.
Our next question is from Brian Tarnelli from the New York Law Journal.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So I know that there was mention of a report to the Albany Police Department regarding the groping incident. Can you specify if that was made by the executive chamber, or has the victim herself stepped forward and given a report to the Albany Police Department?
It's our understanding that the report was made by the executive chamber.
Our last question is from Rebecca Lewis from City and State. Rebecca, your line is open.
Hi, Attorney General. I just wanted to ask, with this report out now, you said that you're not going to speculate on whether the governor is fit to serve or if he should run again. What do you want the public to take away from this report?
That these 11 women were in a hostile and toxic work environment, and that we should believe women, and that what we have an obligation and a duty to do is to protect women in their workplace. And what this investigation revealed was a disturbing pattern of conduct by the governor of the great state of New York. And those who basically did not put in place any protocols or procedures to protect these young women who believed in public service. I believe women, and I believe these 11 women. I thank you all for being here this morning.